Hey guys! Thank you for watching my video. This YouTube channel is going to be called Bake Smarter, Not Harder. Basically, I have a friend who likes to bake, and she'll call me all the time and be like, what did I do wrong? And really what she's doing is she's cutting corners. And so I'm going to show you how to make some things. I might have some tricks to make it a little bit easier for you without cutting corners. And I'll also show you or try to show you what happens if you do cut those corners so that you can see in advance what's going to happen if you try to cheat. So today we're talking about muffins. I have a blueberry muffin recipe that I'm going to use. I have 2 medium-sized bowls, 2 Tupperware containers for weighing out my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients. I have a whisk, a rubber scraper, and a 2-ounce blue-handled scoop. I have my digital scale, and then there is a pan for the muffins, but that's in the oven baking the test batch right now, which is done. So they're not actually done. I poked the top of a muffin, and what happened was it kind of stayed indented instead of popping back up. So that tells me that it still needs to bake for a couple minutes longer, so I just set the timer for 4 more minutes. Okay, so muffins are super easy to make. It's simply just taking your wet ingredients and adding them to your dry ingredients. The issue is don't overmix, because what happens then is sometimes they'll come out flat. You will get blowouts out the side of your muffin instead of getting that nice curved top. So we're going to start with flour, which is basically the biggest amount of ingredients that we're going to use. And I'm measuring in grams. So we're going to need, I should just set this here, the recipe. We're going to need 377 grams of flour, which is roughly 3 cups. And just a little too much. And we're done with the flour. Next, we're going to need sugar. That's going to sweeten your muffins, obviously. 170 grams of sugar, which is about 3/4 cups. You add that right back into the flour. And I like to weigh the ingredients because it's more accurate. Like, a cup of flour to one person might be like a heaping cup of flour, and a cup of flour to another person might be just like straight off the top. Some might eyeball it, and when you weigh something, it's more accurate and it's more consistent. So for consistency's sake, it's really important to weigh your ingredients. This is a Salter digital scale. I've had it for like 10 years, so it's definitely been a good investment. Now we're going to add the baking powder. That's the ingredient that's going to create the lift in your muffins and give it that nice dome. We need 17 grams, which is like a teaspoon and a half. All right, add that to your dry ingredients. And then the last dry ingredient is going to be salt, which is just going to balance out the sweetness. And you don't need a whole lot, like half a teaspoon will do. It's just going to be 4 grams. And it goes pretty quickly. There we go. Alright, so we're done with the dry ingredients. Now we're going to add in the wet ones. And the biggest dry ingredient I have, or that we need the most of, is going to be the milk. So it's 300 grams. When you are baking, regardless of the recipe, unless it says otherwise, it's really important to use room temperature ingredients. A little too much. Anyway, so it's really important to use room temperature ingredients unless the recipe says otherwise, because the temperature of your ingredients really affects how it's going to be incorporated into the product. So, like if you're making cookies and you use cold butter it's going to be harder for your butter to be evenly incorporated into the cookie batter, and then you're going to have issues, which we can discuss in a later episode. Alright, so the milk, 300 grams, and we're going to need 113 grams of salad oil. Salad oil means, well, you can basically use any kind of oil. I wouldn't suggest olive oil. You want something that doesn't really have a ton of flavor. I'm using vegetable oil. Last night when I tried this recipe, I used canola oil, and it just kind of tastes off. So we're going to use 113 grams of salad oil. Add that into the milk. And then I don't need my scale anymore. And we just need to add 2 eggs. I'm going to crack them on a flat surface rather than on the side of the bowl. When you do this, you are more likely to get shells in your egg. So on the counter. Damn near got shells in there anyways. And I like to break these separate from what I'm already, instead of like breaking them and putting them right in there, just because shells, also sometimes there's blood or something else that you don't necessarily want in your muffins. Okay. And I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla, maybe half a teaspoon. And I don't want to mix it too much, so what I'm going to do is just mix a little bit to incorporate the dry ingredients. Then we're going to get a little mix over here, pop the yolks. Again, I don't want to mix it too much. It's not going to mix together with the oil and the milk and everything like that, so just a little bit to break up the eggs. And then just pour it directly into the dry ingredients. Okay, so really important, don't overmix. Just mix it enough so that everything comes together. It's not going to be smooth, it's still going to be lumpy, and that's okay. Ooh. Okay, so now it's pretty much come together. I am just going to take a quick scrape, just kind of move the batter around just to make sure I can see that everything on the bottom is mixed in. Alright, looks good. So now I have the prepared muffin pan. There's muffin liners in here. So when you add your fruit to the muffins, one of the things that happens when people are done is like all the muffins sink to the bottom. And you, ideally for like a beautiful muffin, you want blueberries kind of all throughout. There's like an old wives' tale that if you coat your blueberries or your fruit in flour first, it'll stop them from sinking to the bottom. And I tried that last night, and they still sank to the bottom. So what I also tried, which kind of worked, is just taking a little bit of the batter beforehand and putting just like a tablespoon in the bottom of the muffin liner. Add your blueberries, and just kind of eyeballing it because it's really not an ingredient that's going to affect the texture of the muffin other than adding blueberries to it. It's not like something that works as hard as baking powder. I'm going to use this rubber scraper just to gently fold in the blueberries. Some of the stem, so is that one. Gently fold them in. Okay, so that was what, 3-4 swipes with the spatula, and then I'll take the scoop. And I'm not filling the scoop entirely because these muffins they only need 2 ounces, and I already used some of it to put the bottom in, so I'm kind of accounting for that. When I scoop, you see it's not a full scoop. When I made these last night, this recipe roughly made a dozen, but for some reason today it's making a lot more. And before I started filming, we had the oven set to 400 degrees. We don't want to let these sit for too long, and we're going to put them in for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so just a few things. One, you may have noticed that I didn't use my mixer. That is because it is so easy to quickly overmix your muffins, and you don't want that for the reasons that I explained earlier. So because it's so easy, I just mixed it by hand. The other thing was I did not use frozen berries. You can, but you want them to thaw completely because the temperature and the extra moisture in the berries will make it hard for the muffin batter around the berries to bake. So you'll get like a mostly baked muffin with blueberries and raw batter all around them. So I'm gonna just poke it. You see how it comes right back? That means they're done. Okay, so here I have 2 muffins. This one I coated the blueberries in flour before I mixed them into the batter. And then this is the one where I put a little bit of berry-free batter in the bottom of the muffin liner, and then mixed in the blueberries to the batter, and then added that on top of the blank slate muffin batter. So if we open up the floured blueberries one, you see you have like a couple up at the top, but mostly they're all at the bottom, which is what we were trying to avoid. If you open up this one, there's nice distribution of blueberries there all over it, which is what we were aiming for. Alright, so even though this one is not the most beautiful of muffins, what's really important is it still tastes really good. So if your muffins have blueberries at the bottom of it, don't worry about it. They still taste good. So yeah, that's my first video. If you guys liked it, you know, subscribe to my channel, and comment below if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for future episodes. Next time, it's going to be biscuits from my girl Melanie.